Arizona is known for sunshine, red rocks, and wide-open beauty. But beyond the postcards and vacation photos, there's another side. Small towns tucked into canyons, boom towns that collapsed overnight, desert communities where the silence feels a little too loud. And here's the thing, these places aren't abandoned. People still live there. That's what makes it interesting. Today, we're counting down 5 of the creepiest small towns in Arizona, places locals say feel off after dark, not because of jump-scare ghost stories, but because of history, isolation, and that strange atmosphere you can't quite explain. Now, quick disclaimer, every town has good people and normal daily life. This isn't about fear, it's about vibe, energy, the kind of place where you glance over your shoulder just once. If you enjoy deep dives into America's most unusual places, hit that like button and subscribe for more real US stories. All right, let's start the countdown with a desert town that feels like the world quietly moved on without it. Here's number 5.
Number 5, Gila Bend, Arizona. At first glance, Gila Bend doesn't look creepy. It looks forgotten. Located about 70 miles southwest of Phoenix, this small desert town once thrived as a railroad and highway stop, back when travelers actually needed places like this. But after Interstate 8 rerouted traffic, things changed. And when traffic leaves, businesses follow. Population today, just around 1,700 people. That's not a town, that's a large family reunion. You ever drive through a place and think, if my car breaks down here, I'm just part of the landscape now. Yeah, that's Gila Bend energy. Here's what makes it unsettling. Population, 1,700 and slowly declining. Median household income, significantly below national average. Vacancy rate, noticeably high in older neighborhoods. Summer temperatures, regularly above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Local economy, heavily dependent on highway traffic. Now imagine this, it's 2:17 a.m. You pull off the highway for gas. There's one open station, one flickering light, no one else around. That's not horror movie scary, that's isolation scary. And isolation hits different in the desert. One Reddit user wrote, "Gila Bend isn't dangerous, it just feels like the world forgot it." And that might be the creepiest part. Gila Bend isn't haunted, it isn't violent, it's just quiet in a way that feels permanent. It's what happens when progress moves 20 miles north and never looks back. And small towns built on traffic don't survive when the traffic disappears. Would you rather get stranded in the desert at night or in a dense forest with no signal? Drop your answer below, because the next town on this list, it has history, gunfights, and legends that never really died. Let's move to number 4.
Number 4, Clifton, Arizona. Clifton sits tucked inside a canyon in eastern Arizona, almost hidden from the outside world. And that's not dramatic exaggeration. You drive in through winding roads, steep cliffs on both sides, and suddenly, there it is. Population, roughly 3,000. Historically, Clifton was a booming copper mining town. In the late 1800s, it was loud, crowded, and rough. Think saloons, labor fights, and the kind of Wild West energy where things were settled quickly and not politely. But when mining slows down, so does everything else. And towns built around one industry, they feel it hard. Mining towns always feel like that one friend who peaked in high school and still talks about it. You should have seen me in 1898. Here's what stands out. Population, around 3,000 and largely stagnant. Economy, heavily tied to copper mining operations, historic labor violence in the early 1900s, narrow canyon geography, limited expansion, aging infrastructure in older districts. Now, picture this. You're walking through Clifton at dusk. The canyon walls block the sun early. Shadows stretch fast. The air cools quickly. There's something about a town surrounded by cliffs that feels enclosed. Like it doesn't just sit in the desert, it's trapped inside it. One Reddit user described it like this: Clifton isn't creepy because of ghosts, it's creepy because it feels cut off from everything. And that isolation hits differently when you realize there's basically one road in and one road out. Clifton's story isn't about horror legends, it's about boom, bust, and what remains after both. When industry defines a town, the atmosphere sticks around long after the rush is gone. Would you rather live in a remote canyon town or a flat desert town with nothing around for miles? Comment below, because coming up next, the town that made the Wild West famous and still hasn't fully let go of it. Let's move to number 3.
Number 3. Tombstone, Arizona. You can't make a list about creepy Arizona towns and skip Tombstone. The name alone sounds like a warning. Founded in 1879 after silver was discovered, Tombstone exploded almost overnight. At its peak, it had around 15,000 residents, newspapers, theaters, gambling halls, and more saloons than sidewalks. And of course, the famous gunfight at the OK Corral. But here's the twist. Today, the population sits around 1,300. What was once one of the richest boom towns in the West is now essentially a preserved Wild West time capsule. If your town's biggest tourist attraction is a reenactment of a gunfight from 1881, you might be living in permanent Halloween mode. Here's what makes Tombstone different. Population, 1,300. Economy, heavily tourism-based. Historic violence during Silver Boom era. Multiple preserved cemeteries, including Booth Hill Graveyard. Dozens of haunted hotel and saloon claims. Now, imagine this. It's 9:45 p.m. The tourists are gone. The wooden sidewalks creak. Streetlights glow dim against old brick. And suddenly, the Old West theme doesn't feel like a theme anymore. It feels like a place that never fully left 1885. A Reddit user once wrote, "Tombstone is fun during the day. At night, it feels like you're the one who doesn't belong." That's the vibe. Not dangerous, not chaotic, just historically heavy. Tombstone isn't creepy because it's abandoned. It's creepy because it's preserved. It holds on to its past tightly, the violence, the legends, the atmosphere, and packages it for visitors. But when the show ends, the silence settles in. Would you spend a night in an old Western hotel or in a modern city high-rise? Drop your pick below, because the next town on this list, it looks peaceful on the surface until you hear what locals say about it. Let's move to number 2.
Number 2, Bisbee, Arizona. Bisbee doesn't look creepy at first. It looks artistic. Colorful homes climb the Mule Mountains, coffee shops, galleries, indie bookstores. It feels like a desert version of a mountain bohemian town. But Bisbee wasn't built on art. It was built on copper. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, Bisbee was one of the richest mining towns in the United States. Thousands of miners lived here, fortunes were made, and tensions ran high. Then came labor strikes, deportations, economic collapse. When the mines slowed, the town nearly emptied out. Population today, just under 5,000, far smaller than its boom era peak. You know a town has layers when it has more staircases than sidewalks. Your legs will file the complaint before your brain processes the vibe. Here's what makes Bisbee quietly unsettling. Population, 4,800. Historic mining tunnels beneath the town. 1,917 Bisbee deportation, over 1,000 striking miners forcibly removed. Tourism-driven economy today. Narrow streets and hillside layout creating tight and closed spaces. Now, imagine this. It's evening. The fog settles low. You're walking up one of those steep staircases. Below you, old brick buildings glow softly in yellow light. But under your feet, miles of abandoned mining tunnels. A Reddit user once said, "Bisbee feels charming until you remember it's basically sitting on top of a hollow mountain." And that's when the charm shifts. Not horror movie scary, just historically dense. Bisbee reinvented itself, from mining powerhouse to artsy escape. But history doesn't disappear, it just gets layered over. And when a town has seen deportations, collapse, and underground tunnels carved beneath it, the atmosphere sticks. Would you rather explore abandoned tunnels or hike desert trails at sunset? Comment below, because the town at number 1, it doesn't sit on a mountain. It doesn't sit in a canyon. It sits in the middle of nowhere, and locals say that's exactly the problem. Let's move to number 1.
Number 1, Jerome, Arizona. Jerome isn't just a small town, it's a town that almost didn't survive. Perched on Cleopatra Hill, Jerome was once known as the wickedest town in the West. In the early 1900s, copper mining turned this place into a booming hotspot filled with saloons, boarding houses, and non-stop activity. At its peak, around 15,000 residents. Today, roughly 450. Yes, 450. When the mine shut down in the 1950s, people left fast. Buildings were abandoned. Some literally slid down the mountainside due to landslides and unstable ground. If your town has a sliding jail because the earth keeps shifting, maybe that's not a great long-term real estate sign. Here's what makes Jerome stand out. Population, 450. Former copper boomtown with major decline after 1953. Known for landslides and shifting foundations. Steep, narrow roads with cliffside drops. Tourism now drives most of the economy. Now imagine this. It's late. You're walking down a steep street. Below you, nothing but valley lights miles away. Above you, old brick buildings that have been here for a century. The air feels thin, quiet, elevated. A Reddit user once wrote, "Jerome feels like it's hanging onto the mountain by sheer will." And honestly, that's accurate. You don't just visit Jerome, you climb into it. Jerome isn't creepy because it's abandoned. It's creepy because it survived. It's a town built on unstable ground, physically and historically. Boom, bust, near ghost town, then reborn as an artsy escape. But that cliffside setting, those shifting foundations, that dramatic silence, it gives Jerome an edge no other Arizona town quite matches. Would you spend a night in a cliffside mining town or in the open desert with nothing around for miles? Let me know below. And if this list surprised you, wait until you see what other states are hiding in their smallest towns.